Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Generation Red, the kettle corn of Husker fan podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. I am your host, Ken.
And hey, folks, it's Scott.
It is Coach BA.
And it's Mr. Technical Difficulties.
Hey.
Yes,
how you doing?
All four of us are in the house, first time in like 4 weeks? So that's pretty cool. Yes, the intro music was changed yet again because I keep getting content strikes, copyright strikes, even though I bought a license for that dang song. Yep. So I just grabbed something from the YouTube library and said, what the heck? And I'm like, hey, that's kind of a happy little tune. And after Friday night, we could have used a little bit of a funky pick-me-up. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Obviously, the debacle in Minneapolis is fresh on our minds. We've all got frustrations of our own in our lives as it is, and the freaking Huskers have not helped us at all. So much like our buddies over at NBNR, this is going to be kind of a therapy session, a place where we can come and we can just unload the baggage that we've been carrying since Friday night. I know you, Justin, you did a very poignant post-game live. I listened to most of it on YouTube that night, and then I listened again to the podcast yesterday or today, one of the two, while I was working on prepping for the show. And I think for me, the main takeaway from the show, and I think if I heard you correctly, one of the main takeaways for you from the game was this performance may have been coming. We just didn't see it coming in week 7. Based on some of the struggles we've seen this team have at the line of scrimmage, defensive line, offensive line, all that stuff. We just got lucky, maybe, or we just pulled some stuff out of our hind ends over the last few weeks that, made us look a little better than we were. We get a ranking, and then boom, we go into Minnesota, and of all the teams to expose where this team is at, it had to be them. So from my main takeaway, that's what I took away was, holy crap, this was game 7. And we still haven't figured out the offensive line. We still haven't figured out how to keep Dylan on his feet. We still haven't figured out how to move a quarterback around or get short routes or do stuff to get guys open and give EJ the ball after he has a career night against Maryland the last week. And what the hell happened? So that's my main takeaway, was extreme frustration that this is where this team is at. I know we're not supposed to think that one game actually tells the tale on who this team is, but I couldn't help from walking away from Friday night going, this probably should have happened 4, 5, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's last 2 weeks. And I kind of gave a little bit last week because I was like, in the second half of the Maryland game, we figured something out with the offensive line in terms of our offensive play calling, not with the offensive line in general, because everybody was saying I was negative the previous 2 weeks because of how I was talking about this team, even though they won. And exactly what I was talking about when I talked about over the last 2 weeks, that the middle of the game matters, and we have not been consistent in the middle of the game. The last 2 weeks before Minnesota, it took special teams, big-time special teams plays to really spark us in those games. And without special teams, we wouldn't have won those games either. We went against Michigan State, who was a very, very bad pass rushing team, very bad, and they exposed us. So the middle of the game has always mattered, and that's why kind of, I was a little bit higher on my prediction of the Maryland game, and then last week is 28-24 for the prediction, just because they still hadn't been showing me what I need to see to be able to go out there against a not a great team but a good team, and be able to play consistent enough to be able to go out there and get into a dogfight. And I tweeted right when the game, and this is kind of what I was talking about on my live stream, and everybody kind of could probably feel my frustration on my live stream, because I said whenever Minnesota came down and scored their first touchdown, I said, okay, this game just turned into a dogfight. And at that point, I knew that was where we got punched in the mouth, and that was where the physicality was going to turn up. But then you hear Matt Rule talking this week how he couldn't convince people in the building that this game was going to be a dogfight. Well, if I can sit here and tell you at what point the game turned into a dogfight, and then I texted Brian, my co-host, at halftime, and I said, we have to be the first team to score out of half or we're losing this game. I texted him that, and we weren't, and we lost the game. And if I can see those things, how can somebody whose job it is to sit here in this building every single day not have his team ready for those same exact moments to be able to respond and know that those moments are coming, and have assistants being like, oh, why are we crying? Who are we? We have a number next to our name, and all of a sudden now we're this team that deserves all this credit, and we deserve to put ourselves above this team. I have talked, far and wide about how I feel about PJ Fleck. negative, corny, all that stuff. All that BS aside, he has them guys ready to go every single week, and he knows how to bring the best in his team. Why aren't we doing that in year 3? Why are your assistants disconnected from what your messaging is? Why are they walking back trying to say against what you're saying? And why in that moment, why are you talking about it now? Why in that moment did you not pull everybody into a room and say, hold on, we can't have this, even that being said on this campus, let alone in this building, of why we crowning them. No, everybody should have been called into a building at that point and said, that stops here. Right now, I don't want to hear another word about that. We are nobody right now. That's what should have been happening. This team should have played with a chip on their shoulder. That chip should have been put on their shoulder by Matt Rule leading up to that game as soon as he heard those echoes in the locker room, and that did not happen. And I know he's trying to take accountability and all that stuff, but in a way here, it seems like there's a disconnect between him and his staff in a little bit, and the communication somewhere is not getting across the board. And in year 3, that's where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be Matt Rule's the CEO of this team, and everything from him comes down and trickles down to the players, and that's not happening.
No, I'll be honest. Like, I thought I was going to come on here and give some big, long rant about my thoughts, but I feel like I don't even need to, because Justin just said everything that I've been thinking over the last 24, however many hours. Like, I feel like I don't even have it, because Justin, I will just say, like, spot on with you. I can't even echo everything. I think that some of my frustration, and I'm glad that it's not just me, because I feel like sometimes I start the way that I think about certain things said at some press conferences or whatever. It's like, maybe I just have a different view of it looking at it as a coach, because there's some of my views that people just didn't like. I hear things, I'm like, I don't like that. As a coach myself, I'm now a head coach now. I'm like, I don't like hearing that. I wouldn't like that. If I said that about my high school team, it'd be weird. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm glad that someone else is on the same page. Makes me feel like I'm not a crazy person.
Not at all.
No, and I thought you did a great job. Your post game, your post game stream. I saw it at about 3 a.m, which was when I was able to get done watching the game. I went through my normal routine. I still put on Justin's show.
Appreciate
even after
that
game got done. But yeah, no, 100%. I think that's what's frustrating to me is like, we're in year 3, and this is supposed. I don't know. Well, I know we're going to go over a lot of these quotes, so I won't dive too far into. But like, how are we not prepared for a fist fight's my biggest thing. Like, holy cow!
Against Minnesota, a team that
that's what I'm like
does not like you.
This is going to sound really bad, but like, do we forget that we're Nebraska? Like, do we forget what's been happening the last however many years? Like, that's what blows my mind. But Ken and Scott, I'll let you, because like I said, I thought I was going to come on here and start ranting. Like, Justin, you did a great job. Appreciate everything Justin said, take that times 2, because I'm 1,000% on board.
Yep. Go ahead, Scott. Your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it just seemed like the only unit that seemed to want to play was a special teams unit. So big props to Mike Eckler and having his squad ready to play week in, week out, no matter what. I can't stress this enough as a Husker fan and what we've been through over the last decade or so. Having a solid special teams unit is really what's made our season tangibly better than what it was last year. But yeah, when it came to offense and defense, it was just flat. There was nothing. It didn't seem like anybody wanted to play. If there was moments that were good, it was individual efforts, but you got to have everybody firing on all cylinders, aiming at the same at the same target at the same time. And it just didn't seem like we had that at all throughout the game. And any moments that looked like they may have been good, somebody wasn't executing. There's a drop pass, there's an overthrown pass, there's a hole and you miss it. I could just go down the line. It just seemed like no matter what we were doing on offense or defense, it looked flat. It looked uninspired. We just looked slumped. There was just no energy. There was no fight.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It was just dead. We were a dead team. And that kind of goes part and parcel with what Justin and what Coach BA would be alluding to is that's a coaching issue. That's our guys, yes, we need to have an expectation that there's leadership within these position groups and they need to be led by their peers. But at a certain point, if your team is not, I'll use the same expression, if they're not aiming at the right target, if their heads are not in the right spot that you would want as a coach, that's your job to correct them. Like we said, they really thought that they were in this new era of greatness, and so nobody could touch them. And it's like, yeah, no, that's not how this is going to work ever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's going to give you your best game, especially when you're in the top 25. We were talking about this before. The better your team is, the better competition you're going to get out of the teams you're playing. That's just the David wants to take out Goliath. And so you can't overlook anybody, especially like we said, Minnesota. You can't overlook those guys. You can't overlook anybody in the Big Ten. They're always going to give you that grind. So it was just a flat performance. There was nothing inspiring about it at all. And it was just, as a fan, I just felt so apathetic watching it. It just was like, I had kind of like what Justin said. I was like, maybe there's some second half adjustments. Maybe there's something. But if I don't see it right out of the gate, what are we going to do? And then that 14 play, 10-minute drive that just sucked the entire life out of our team, that they go down and score going up 14-6. It's like, yeah, this is game over. There's nothing. There's nothing we're going to do from here. So yeah, it was just, as I'm sure everybody would agree, what did we even watch? I don't know.
I think another big thing for me is what gives Holgorsen in one half of football against Maryland enough to think that, like he said in his press conference, that all of a sudden he's like, we got confidence to air the ball out deep. Why? Because we played a good second half against a bad Maryland team. So now all of a sudden we can try to throw deep on Minnesota. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, he's like, yeah, we got to start taking, we got to take the underneath, and we should have been doing that against Minnesota. I don't get it. I don't understand why all of a sudden we're like, okay, yeah, good second half against Maryland. Now let's just change everything up and start throwing deep. I don't get it.
Yeah. No, where was the dink?
Yeah. Especially when Purdue ran all over Minnesota the week before. Why is it that everybody sees the blueprint for beating us and they freaking use it? We get to see the blueprint for beating other teams and Dana won't use it.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And we ran the ball. One way to get the fast rush.
Smarter than the rest of us, and don't leave me alone. I'll do what I'm going to do, and just, it's like we've said before. I think we've said it before on this show. Where is the team Rule promised he was going to give us when he got hired in the first place? Good old school, badass on the defensive and offensive lines. We're going to run the football. We're going to play boring football. We're going to kick people's asses on defense. Where's that team?
That's kind of just my issue.
Established the run since he's been here, except with Harburg in his first season, was the only guy that ran worth a hoot. And you got the guy right now. He's leading the Big Ten in yards in Emmett Johnson, and we won't feed him but for 63 yards on Friday night when you're in a fist fight. How does Rule not go over to Dana, knock his headset off his damn head, and say, run the fucking ball, dude?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Guys, not to use the F-bomb in the night. R.I. It's so frustrating.
No, I hear that's been just one of my things it was one of my frustrations, especially last year. And now I'm kind of just starting to feel the way this year. It's just like, again, when I talk about the words not matching the play on the field, I'm not talking about the results, because I always know every coach is going to talk about how good they are. Like, even the teams that are going to go 2-10, right? They're going to talk. I'm not talking about like the actual results. I'm talking about like the identity that you say that you're trying to build, and what's actually happening on the field is two completely. That's where I struggle with this team, and it pissed me off a lot last year, and this year I'm honestly more just a little bit confused. Last year I was pissed most of the year of like, I mean, I think it took until Dana coming in for me to, you know what I mean? But this, I'll be honest, I was mad, but like I went and rewatched the game a little bit, and I'm like, I'm just almost baffled, like confused. I'm like, what is? I don't know. I don't really have a ton of words for it.
Yeah, I just like it's when your quarterback is getting sacked 20% of the game. Why are we not dialing up different plays that are quicker and
Run the ball.
progression?
Run
Yeah.
the ball. My wife's on. Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
It's all good.
The dogs had something to say too. They agreed. Like, what are
Hey,
if we can't protect our quarterback, you change the game plan. You gotta have dink and dunk only, and run the ball. What are we doing passing on first and second down when you've got a running back that can score 100 or run 100? Yeah, get 100 yards in this game easily if we would have just stuck with him. He got 14 carries, which isn't bad, but what are we doing? It's just obviously we're all armchair coaches, and so I mean you're a real coach.
No,
so.
but in this situation, I'm armchair.
In this situation, we're all armchair coaches looking at this from 1,000-foot view, but like I just don't understand the thought process behind or lack thereof. Is there even a thought process, or are you just really just doubling down on what your game plan was going into the game, and you have no ability to adjust on the fly when things are not going according to plan? Which, that I guess we do have a clip that we can show of on the defensive side of our coach making comments about that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm kind of in a, I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get into Northwestern, but I'm really in kind of a wait and see mode still. This game was just one game, but like Coach said, I do agree that this is a theme that just keeps playing out, and it's year 3, and my expectation was an 8-4 season, and that 8-4 season should look better than what it is right now, and we'll be hard pressed to get to 8 at this point if this is what we are. So I don't know. Does anybody have any other thoughts about Minnesota specifically, or do we want to jump into some more?
Let's take a look at what Rule had to say, and I think he's echoing a lot of what we're saying. I mean, just from a coach's perspective.
But that's also frustrating, right? I mean,
it's also frustrating because we shouldn't be at this point at this time, right?
That's where I'm stuck. This
is one of the first things he said. I constantly try to teach our players that nothing is happening to you. You're not getting sacked. You're giving up sacks. You're not missing tackles. You're not making the tackle. We have good players who've shown they could do it. Now go do it. Holy crap. This is fundamentals, right?
Yeah, but do you remember for a long time we had some discussions and it was coming a lot from Rule about how much he liked the mindset this year, and a lot of that stuff is gone and all that stuff. Like, that quote doesn't make me feel that way. If we're still talking about things aren't happening to you, like that does. Yeah. That's the things I get confused about is, well, what, I don't know, is maybe our mindset's not where we thought it was, but I feel like in year 3 we should be there. Maybe I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you because I think in many ways he's trying to walk a line, and I don't mean to sound like a Rule apologist, even though I tend to be one. I tend to be 70-30 in the confidence in Rule camp, which last week it would have been more like 90-10. I'm losing a little bit of that, especially with some of the comments I heard.
I'm with you, which is weird for me because you guys know how much I adore this man. But that's weird.
Rule we trust. It's all part of your mantra.
Yep.
And it's kind of one of those.
What do we do?
It's kind of one of those you sit and you go, wait, what? You had to say this to them again? I thought you were done saying these things.
Right.
I thought you didn't have to come at them and go, this stuff's not happening to you. You're not getting the job done. I thought we were past that point, especially with guys like Marquise Buford, who can't quit missing tackles on that simple outside zone play when he's left by himself because everybody else couldn't figure out what lane they were supposed to be in. But I tell you what, Justin's had him on his show. Michael Rose Ivy does great film breakdowns on his Twitter account of the plays and the running plays and the way that John Butler was calling the defense. And I thought it was really good. Very objective. Didn't throw a lot of opinion in there. He just told it why it worked and why it didn't. And I thought it's excellent stuff. It's kind of helping me learn a little bit. But anyway, let's jump into the next comment here. Matt Rule said, once Minnesota started to assert their physicality, I don't think we were ready for a fist fight. I think we thought it would be a little easier. It's sad to say that's why it falls on me, taking some accountability. I told the team the entire week that this was a tough physical team and this would be a battle. Going to what you were saying earlier, Justin, I had assistants saying, why do you keep crowning them, man? I'm tired of that. It was Rule's response. You'd better respect every team you play, especially when you're at Nebraska. People are going to get excited to play you, so I'm not going to let us off the hook. They played better than us. Credit to them. I don't know, and I don't think we can hear him saying that he's tired of hearing that. Did he say that at the time his coaches were saying those things to him? We don't know those conversations. We don't know if they pulled him aside into a room. We don't know.
That's the things we need to hear in that moment. Yes. He needs to say, I pulled that person aside. That's what I'm tired of.
Because this just makes us look bad in my opinion. At
this point, I'm tired of him pussyfooting around this stuff. Yeah. And he needs to tell us straight up what he's doing. And it's not enough for us to be able to speculate. Well, we don't know if he did this. Did you or did you not? If you did, say that. If so, it's on you, because whatever you communicated in that room did not get conveyed to whoever, because that didn't trickle down to the players, obviously.
Right.
That's my opinion on
it. Here's what I'll say is, you know me, I live in a place kind of like Justin where I'm not surrounded by Husker fans, right? I had a lot of football coaches, I'm talking like over 10 of them that are not Husker fans, texted me a tweet with this quote that was like, woof, like that doesn't look good. I'm like, yeah, this isn't a good look this is not a good look. I know there were some people that were, I loved this press conference. Not me. I was not on that camp at all. I thought this was one of my least favorite press conferences I've seen from Rule. It's not quite on the level of the, yards per play one last year, but I'm not there. That one made me mad. This one's, I'm like, what are we doing though? I did not think this was a good press conference. And this quote was like, what the hell, man?
The part of it, the only part of it that I liked is that he is pissed off, but I just think it's at this point that enough of worrying about I feel like he's still tiptoeing around of I need to take accountability, but still try to put it on everybody else, but not put it on everybody else and still put it on myself. And when you dance around like that, you really you get away from answering the actual questions. Yes. And that's what needs to be happening. He doesn't need to worry about what the outside's going to think about what he says. He doesn't need to worry about, we're going to think about what he says. He needs to be honest with himself and the players. And it seems like too much. He's kind of got this anxious body language of I can't have people saying this, but at the end of the day, it falls on me. But it's we can't keep hearing that. In the very beginning, 2023, he came in and he said, it's going to start out in being more of us, more of it on the coaches, and then less of the players. And then the accountability is going to go on the players more than the coaches. Right. Mm-hmm. But it seems like we're not in year 3. He's still kind of tiptoeing around who's the accountability. I don't know if this is because he expected to have the same staff that he hadn't had in 2023. And now some of the people that he's brought on, maybe stuff isn't getting communicated the way it should through, because he did mention Terry Braden. He mentioned Addison Williams, but who he doesn't mention in any negative light. And I don't like it. Donovan Raiola. I don't know what it is about the Raiolas, but he does not mention them enough. He does not put his foot to the fire, put his ass to the fire enough. He needs to call anybody named Raiola out a little bit more than he is. And I feel like he's afraid to do that. I don't know if it's because of the weight that they hold at Nebraska, but the finger isn't. I'm hearing names that I need to be hearing another name. He mentions Donnie occasionally, but not in a negative enough light. He's not. He's like, yeah, well, we got to get the play calling to go to. No, you need to get your offensive line figured out and learn how to block. Because right now there's technical things, there's footwork things that aren't happening. There's protection issues. Some of the protections that we're calling out up front are not called correctly. And, you have to put your offense. I don't care if he's a Raiola, if his name's in the building. I don't care about any of that. You're the head football coach. Call him out.
Yeah,
for sure. All right.
Sorry if I'm a little fired up.
No, brother. I'm needing this.
Let it roll, buddy.
We're on the same page.
All right, cool.
Unburdening. This is the unburdening.
Yeah.
All right. Matt Rule says it's 7-6 at halftime and everybody's walking into the locker room disappointed. I'm so tired of that. Like, stop. The entitlement and that just drives me nuts. Every team is going to be ready to play us. They were chanting overrated at the end of the game. Why? Because you earned yourself a 5-1 record and being a top 25 team. They wanted to play you. So I'm just tired of the entitlement of like, this will be easy or that'll be easy. Who are we to say that? You know what I'm saying. We're way better when we're chip on your shoulder, gritty and tough, you know?
Then put that chip on their shoulder.
Dancing all over the place with this. Like, where he's
I know we're just got the quotes, but I will also say he seems so uncomfortable in this press.
Yes, like he was just
body language. I did not
like the anxious body language of like this, and then like checking his, and then reaching down for the like. It's not like him.
Yes, very much. I agree.
No, it was not like it. He was not on his best communication capability. You know what I mean? His ability to speak. He was speaking from the gut. There was no doubt about it. But he seemed really jumbled. He's like, I know what I want to say, and he was stopping short of what he really wanted to say. Which is, I think, what you're saying, Justin. He's stopping himself short of what he really wants to call out and say.
And that's what he probably should say.
Yes.
There was a comment here and there where he mentioned, yes, it's on the players and it's on these guys to execute. We gave them a game plan. They needed to get out there and execute it. I didn't include that in here just because it was kind of a jumbled thought too.
Yeah, because it's always like he's trying to tiptoe around what, like, how do I put accountability on everybody else, but then also like not feel like I'm blaming everybody. He needs to stop thinking that way. He needs to just say what your gut is feeling. The people that need to be called out, call them out. Don't be afraid of doing this. That's what head football coaches do. Nick Saban was cutthroat. If his team was up 56-0 and they gave a touchdown at the end of the game, they're getting their ass chewed at the end of that game. Mm-hmm. And they're getting called out in the post-game press conference.
Yes.
We need that.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about it, that like it doesn't matter what you say. People are going to nitpick it and they're going to dissect it and everything. Yeah. So you might as well just be an open book, an actual open book. You might as well just say what needs to be said. So where's the fear coming from? Is it what do you fear? Do you fear your coaches? Do you fear the donors? Do you fear the media? Do you fear your fan base? What do you fear? Because whatever you're fearing in this moment is controlling you, and you got to knock it off. You're the head coach. You're the CEO. You are the captain of this ship. Steer it however the heck you want to steer it. And then if you're doing it with the right mindset and with the right intentions, all right, yeah, you might still end up getting fired someday. You might not end up being the right guy, but at least you know you're being honest. I don't like this. I don't like this tiptoeing around the questions. And yeah, we were talking about body language last week, but yeah, the clips that I'd seen, I haven't watched the full interview. I'd just seen the clips that had been going viral. But yeah, it's this very uncomfortable, defensive, like he's afraid. Like there's a sniper aiming at him.
Good on you for mentioning that last week. Right, because I even said, I don't know about that because it's a cluster, and then this week I saw it.
Yeah, and it's worse. It was way worse. It was like a sniper. He knew that there was somebody aiming at his head. Like it seemed like he was going to get. I can't say certain words, but yeah, it looked like he was going to have a real bad day in the morgue. But yeah, it just seemed.
Sure.
Dude,
I agree. It looked like he was under some pressure from somewhere that he just wasn't willing to be complete. I appreciated the candidness. I did. Yeah. I thought he was way more candid and vulnerable than I've ever seen him after a loss.
And more pissed off, but they're still holding back. Yeah.
He's holding back.
Go all the way with it, because here's what I'll say. If he's holding it back, here's the example I'll use. the four of us on the podcast right now are still dissecting all this stuff and mad about it, and he didn't even go all the way with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just let loose.
And then if it
he
is
might be having a better podcast if he'd have just said it.
We'll be like, thank you for calling Donovan Raiola crap. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's. I like that you brought up Nick Saban, because Nick Saban had zero fear of anybody. He did not care, like you said. He had no problem saying, "Yeah, my quarterback's coach. I don't know what he's doing with Tua right now. Like I don't know, man. I'm gonna figure that out though. I'm having a conversation with him tonight. Like he had no issue with that. And so when it comes to Rule, like if your fear is truly directed at, well, what do my position coaches think about me, or are they going to have, is he afraid that they're going to have like a temper tantrum and act like children? Because then that's just like evident that you have the wrong coaches. You need to have coaches that can be coached.
Yep.
And if they aren't going to submit to you, if there's this misunderstanding of like, no, there's a hierarchy here. I am the boss.
Yeah.
You will submit to me. And if you don't do that, then I don't want anything to do with you. Pack your bags, be on your way. And I think that, Justin, you're alluding to it, that I don't know. If I were a betting man, I would say that there are certain coaches that he doesn't want to step on toes with, because there's going to be backlash, a temper tantrum, or whatnot. There's a cascading effect to criticizing certain people.
I think you alluded to it as well, Justin. I think there's that one last name associated with the locker room that makes things really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing Nick Saban was not afraid of is players transferring out. He'll call somebody out. If you don't want to be here, go. You know, he wasn't afraid to call players out either. But I'll tell you what, they respected him and they listened. Nobody left because Nick Saban called him out. You know what they did? They stepped up. One of the things that we didn't like about Scott Frost is Scott Frost had the good old boys club. It seemed like he had his players that he liked, and he stuck with those guys. Something that stuck with me about when he was talking about the offensive line, he's like, our starters are our starters. And you cannot say that as a coach, because at that point, I kind of brought up this analogy. If you're at a job and you feel like there's no advancement opportunity, what are you doing? You're looking for another job. You're not working your ass off. You're out looking for another job, right? And so if these players hear that the starters are our starters, no matter how much the starters screw up, the guys behind them aren't going to work their way up, because even if they put forth every bit of effort and they're doing everything that you ask of them, maybe they're not as talented, but they're doing everything that you ask of them, they're not going to be able to get that starting role. That's not how we started this, because Vincent Shavers came in as a true freshman. And one of the things that he said about him was he came in and he outworked the seniors. He outworked the juniors. He outworked the sophomores. And so he got an opportunity to start. We got to be consistent with that, including in our offensive line.
Damn right. Ride with the guys that are working hard.
Look at what it did to Lamar Jackson. When Scott Frost finally benched Lamar Jackson turned into an NFL cornerback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a couple more from Minnesota. Matt Rule specifically calls out Dana. I think Dana has to go back with his staff. They have to figure out how we can run the football. Well, they figured it out for Maryland. I don't see how it's that much difficult to do the same thing against Minnesota, but that's just me.
It starts by handing it off.
Yeah, I mean, football never changes. I always talk to the team about it. Don't beat ourselves with penalties, missed assignments, win the turnover battle. We didn't lose it, but we didn't win it either. Run the ball, stop the run, protect and affect the quarterback, win the situations. We're not scoring touchdowns in the red zone, and we're not winning on third down. It was just bad all around.
And so basically, we're doing everything bad.
And then got into the generalities at the end of the answer. But for me, that key thing there was Dana has to go back with his staff, and they have to figure out how we can run the football. They figured it out. Last week, 176. How is 176 yards against Maryland suddenly we're after another game? Now you've got to figure out how to run the football again.
It was working.
I'll tell you my frustration with this quote is, and again, I know I reference it, and this isn't fair because I think Dana Holgerson's a much better offense coordinator than our previous one. But here's what I will say.
Oh yeah, not even close.
No, I'm not understand. I'm not trying to make the comparison.
No,
I'm just,
sure.
I want to say that, but here's what I'll say. Yeah. Remember, again, to reference that terrible press conference last year, the biggest thing that pissed me off more than anything and I know it pissed you off too, Ken, because I remember doing this podcast with you when it happened, was when he said, I have to commit to establishing the run. And we're all like, no joke, dude.
Yeah.
That's been the message from day one that Matt Rule showed up. It's the Big Ten.
Oh, you got to run the football in the
I'm
Big
not
Ten.
saying
Wow.
it's on that level, but I'm saying
Mystery wrapped in enigma.
to hear this quote again this year is at least, that's alarming to me, because again, it's not to the level of last year, but like, why are we having the same discussion again about how we need to commit to the run? No shit, guys. We're in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm like, I'm struggling with that.
And one way to neutralize pass rush from the edges is to run the ball.
Run the ball.
Because
Yes,
then
sir.
that holds them at bay a little bit longer, and that gives you time to then open up the pass, and everything works off the run game. That's how you open the other stuff up. It's not like we're asking you to run the ball and then just run and run and run and run. No, we're asking you to use that, set it up, but don't abandon it when you set the other stuff up and it starts working.
Yeah.
You still have to go back to the run. There still has to be balance.
Keep them honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. All righty. Let's see. I like our defense to wreak havoc, get sacks, force fumbles, and all those things. I don't think we called the game that way. I think we were very vanilla in the way we called the game. And as a result, they got into a rhythm. Now, Scott has a video of our illustrious defensive coordinator.
Our fearless leader.
That particular idea right here.
All right, give me just a second. There we go. My mouse cursor was not going where it needed to go.
I didn't call the game as aggressively as I had planned. We started off pretty strong the first two drives, got into a decent rhythm, and then after that explosive run, that probably affected me more than it should, and it shouldn't. Every play has its own life. So what's going to happen on the next play is not about what has happened on the previous play. So kind of a what's next mentality. I've got to stick to the plan and say, regardless of what happened on the previous play, we still got to approach the game with an aggressive mentality. A little bit of a learning experience for, I think, all of us, but I don't disagree with that.
This is another thing. I have a pretty big issue with that.
Really?
How do we have a Big Ten defense again? How do we have a Big Ten defensive coordinator being like, oh, well, this one play affected how I called the game? Here's what I'll tell you. I'm not the defensive coordinator at my small town Kansas high school. I have a defensive coordinator that calls the defense. If my defensive coordinator came to me and said, I let this one explosive play change the way I called the rest of the game, I'd be losing my mind. And I'd be handling that in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's again, and I understand I'm coaching very small town Kansas high school football, and that would not be an acceptable answer from my defensive coordinator.
Yep.
That's where I have an issue with that. You know what I mean?
Don't let other people dictate how you call your defense.
No, 100%. Again, I'm an offensive-minded coach, but a phrase I've always heard.
Maybe, I don't know, make the adjustments so that that one big play doesn't happen again, but don't change your defense. Just make sure you pull a couple of players aside that screwed the pooch in the first place. Say, don't do that.
If you are not dictating to the offense is dictating to you. As an offensive-minded coach, I was told that by a very, very smart defensive guy, and I actually try and use that all the time. If you're not dictating to them, they're dictating to you. And we let one play, we let them dictate. Sounds like the rest of the game, and that's frustrating as all hell.
Oh, for sure. Let's see here. I think we got the rest of them. That's all of the Minnesota stuff. So, I mean, there's really not much to go over other than, we covered it all.
Yeah.
We still are.
What is there to cover?
We're still the number.
The Rockets are winning.
6 points.
The Rockets are winning. Let's go.
Winner.
There you go.
We still had more passing yards than they did, so I'll take that as a win. We let them rush for almost 190. Lindenmeyer was our top receiver at 52 yards. And of course, Javen Wright was our top tackler at 12 with 5 solos. So Javen Wright gets my game ball. I don't know about you guys. I didn't even put game ball anything up here on
Archie Wilson.
I'm just kind of like, meh. Archie Wilson.
Archie.
Yeah, he had some badass punts.
The fans who drove to Minnesota. That's who I got.
Yeah. I like it.
Hey, I'll tell you. I'll tell you guys. My most frustrating part of the game. If you guys, before we move on to Northwestern, I'll say this. So I get home and I'll just say it. My boys have heard me say this. We got our tails kicked on Friday, and it was probably the worst game we played all year. I might have players listening to this. They heard me say this multiple times throughout the week. It was just a bad game, so I'm already pretty ticked off. Right? It is what it is. I have all my notifications off. Like, my phone is on, but everything is muted. I told my boys, if you tell me what happens in this Husker game, I swear to God, I will run you until you puke. Like, I'm going to go home, and I'm telling you, I had texts. Like, if you needed to get a hold of me on Friday night, you could not do it. I had everything muted, stayed off my phone, got home. It was right around 1 o'clock, 12:30, 12:45, 1 o'clock, somewhere in that range. I sit down on my couch. I'm going to watch the Husker game and decompress after that very poor performance we had on Friday night. Boys, when I say that this is only the second game, and probably since I was a child, that I have not watched live in the moment. Oh, my goodness. I almost wish I wouldn't have watched it. It made me so mad. And then, of course, once I finally kind of get done with this game, I start looking at my notifications on my phone. I turn my notifications back on, and I have a text from my brother that was like, "Oh, if I was you, I wouldn't even waste your effing time." And I had a text from one of my assistant coaches that said, "Hey, I know you're not going to see this, but I know you're having a rough night when you do." And that was very frustrating. And
I don't know how people do that. I have to follow along with the game while it's going on. I try.
Yeah, my wife said that when she got, because she went to our game and she beat me home by a few hours, because you know how post games go. So she said when she got home, she was laying in bed. She looked up the score. She's like, "Well, good thing I'll be asleep by the time you watch this."
So funny, because my wife checks the score as she's at work just to try to see what kind of mood I'm going to be in. She's like, "I'm sorry the game's not going well."
Yeah, I get done with this game, and I'm just so pissed off. Like I said, we lost by like 30 points, and then I'm watching the Huskers lose, and I'm like, I can't go to sleep. So what do? I go to my normal routine. I watch Justin's post-game show like it was live. The only thing I didn't do was leave it. I just started watching it. I thought it was good.
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Absolutely, it was excellent. Brian was especially pissed off and frustrated. It was good to hear that I was not alone in kind of my assessment of what things look like. But,
Brian's very emotional. During the game, very emotional during the game.
If you watch the game with me, you'd see the same. So, my wife was at a play at a little theater in Grand Island with a high school friend or whatever. So she was like, "Well, text me the score, throughout the game." And I got done with the first half, and I'm like, "I'll just let you know when it's over, because I think it's over now."
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's fine. It was just one of those nights. So anyway, all right, let's flush that.
Yep.
We're going to flush that crap game down the toilet, and we're going to look forward to a game that very possibly could be similar. Coach Rule thinks it's going to be similar simply because of the way Northwestern plays. I'm a little concerned about it, to be honest with you, especially after this last preview. And kind of here's what Coach Rule kind of had to say right out of the gate as they were kind of switching to the Northwestern week at his press conference. He said, "They're really physical." Happy day. "They play really, really hard. They run the football at a really high level. Joy. They lost their first football game of the year, then lost to Oregon, and they've been on a tear since." So at least he's self-aware of the fact that he's going to have to tell his people to stop telling them to stop crowning them when they're practicing. So hopefully they'll get that squared away as coaches and understand that when Matt Rule speaks, he actually knows what the fruit he's talking about. Yeah. And coaches need to get off those high horses a little bit. I mean, to be honest, that sounds like there was an awful lot of ego and an awful lot of pride in those assistant coaches that maybe that's what they needed too. They needed a Minnesota to absolutely smack them around for 4 quarters and then watch a student section in most of a half-empty stadium run out onto the field and celebrate beating a top 25 team. So I don't know. I'm all for lessons learned. I'm all for one of those guys. I'm one of those guys that thinks you can be inspired in sport by getting your tail handed to you.
100%. I agree.
I'm just not 100% sure if the team is going to completely buy into that after seeing what happened on Friday night. I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope everybody's pulling in this. I was going to say rowing, but no, you would probably want to shoot.
Yeah. That's
in
not
the same direction. Scott, did you have something you wanted to say
about the Northwestern preview?
Yeah, just the whole what he said there about physical nature of Northwestern. And
I mean, I think this is like, I mean, I don't like to be too sky is falling, but I mean, this is going to really set the tone for how the rest of the season goes, because this could be a reeling game. If we drop against Northwestern, I mean,
you can't.
There's very, we might, there's just a lot of implications to not winning this game that we could be staring at another, 6-6 season if we're lucky. This is a game that I'm like, there's a lot. If I were a coaching staff, I would be puckering up pretty big here. This one's got me sweating, I guess. I don't know. It's with what he's been saying I don't know, man. My trust level with this coaching staff has gone down quite a bit just in that game. I've tried to be as objective as I can be and step away and decompress and just really let the emotions of the moment, fade away. And as I've come back to reality, I don't really have much of a better take going into this game specifically. I mean, Northwestern is, 5-2 against the spread, and Nebraska's 2-5. Like, this is gonna be a tough one. And I know the coaching staff knows this. I know the players probably know this at this point. But like, what are you gonna actually do about it?
Yep. So Rule said this. You know how hard it is to shut out people. They just shut out Purdue last week. Coach Braun has done a great job since getting there. They play really, really sound defense. They have a great pass rush, happy joy, and they're physical up front. They're averaging about 190 yards a game and are 6th in the Big Ten in rushing. And they have a wideout number 17 that no one can cover, who gets most of their targets. They don't beat themselves, so it's a repeat of the team we played last week. So we'll find out about ourselves this week. I think that's a pretty good self-scout. I think really that's as good a self-scout I think as Rule could have made. Talking about going into Northwestern.
As mad as I am, I will say this: Rule is still the guy for the job. That hasn't changed in my mind.
Oh, 100%.
Right. And this is, Scott, you're 100% correct. Rule's 100% correct. It's all about how you respond this week. But you have to beat Northwestern convincingly. Like, you can't go in there and win by touchdown. Like, you have to go in there and kind of prove a point. The thing about Northwestern, they might be the most sound defense we played. They're top 25 nationally defensively. The one thing I will say about them is they're not great at they're good between, in the 80 yards between the 20s, but not at good at the 20s and the 20s on the other sides. So in the red zone, we have to really make sure we lock up and convert on our opportunities to score. We have to start getting touchdowns. And when even against Maryland, we were kind of lucky there that we got that dang key touchdown. Otherwise, we were on the verge of passing 6 times and really going on a second drive in a row of not scoring a touchdown. We were down there. So you can't out bad Northwestern when you get in the red zone. You have to take advantage of your red zone opportunities. So my score prediction that I gave you will be if we take advantage of those opportunities in the red zone, mind you. Now, they do run the ball really well, but I don't think their quarterback play is as high level as Minnesota. So I will say that. So this is 100% an opportunity to get right against a good team that should not beat us. They are a good team, but they still should not beat us. That being said, I've said that, many weeks before. And so Northwestern being a sneaky good team, they should not sneak up on this team. I don't care. We're still in year 3. I don't care. The Minnesota game happened. This team should still go out there and beat Northwestern because we are still in year 3. And if Matt Rule is as pissed off as he says he is, And we're talking about how he didn't have these conversations last week. Those conversations should be having had whatever, however I'm supposed to say that, this week. He should have those conversations this week, and we should see the fruits of that payoff in the game. I got, me and Brian both had 2 score predictions on our show. So we had a good scenario, bad scenario. So
relate versus reality.
Yes, essentially. So
stealing my gig, I see. No, what you're messing with.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that, guys, on the Northwestern?
They don't get penalized a lot either. That's one thing too. They don't beat themselves. And I'm going on another week. I know Matt Rule talked about third down, but I'm going on. Maryland beat us on third down. I said going in the Minnesota game that we didn't do well on third down against Maryland. Well, we definitely didn't do well on third down against Minnesota, but that wasn't just a last week thing. So we have to win on third down this week. We have no choice. No more targeting on, no more jumping on people. That's a bogus call, but it still was a 15-yard penalty no matter what. It should have happened.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure. Rule said I worked for Tom Coughlin, and he would say, humble enough to prepare, confident enough to perform. Then you listen to Coach Saban, and he would talk about workhorses or show ponies. You have to work and work as if you have no chance to win the game, and then play as if you have no chance to lose the game. I misquoted that. That should be no chance to lose the game there at the bottom. I appreciated what he said there for sure. This one is the one that really threw me. If Northwestern is just way better than us, then so be it. So be it. He said, so be it twice. Freaked me out a little. But if fans spend money this week to watch a team diving on the ground to make tackles or guys getting pushed back into the quarterback, then I'd boo us. So we'd better show up. I'm going to say this. We will show up. So he called out his team there. I just hated the first sentence there. If Northwestern is just way better than us.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute, what?
I kind of like it. I kind of like it because that's what we need. We need him to just be frank and say what he's thinking. Because at that point, at the end of that, the only reason I like that is because he did put his own ass on the line and said, we will show up at the end of it.
Yeah.
But I think what he's saying is if Northwestern is just way better than us, I think he's kind of talking about in the football on Saturday.
Right.
If they're better than us, they come out and they're better than us on Saturday, and so be it. There's nothing we can do about it because we are. I'm hoping what he means by that is we're doing everything in our power to prepare to where no matter what, we're coming out of that knowing we did everything that I tell people this all the time. My very first boxing fight ever was my only loss. And the reason the afterwards, when I look back on it, one of the things that I realized is before the fight, I was really worried about my cardio. And then my cardio affected me. And after what that told me is my next fight, what I did was I left no doubt in my mind. I was like, there's going to be no possible way that this next fight, I'm going to be able to question my cardio because I'm going to work so hard that if I lose in that ring, then so be it. Because I got beat by the better guy in that night, right? But that first fight hurt me a lot harder because I knew I didn't prepare hard enough because that question in my mind told me I didn't prepare enough. I was not ready for that fight because if you're questioning your own preparation, you didn't prepare enough. Yeah. So I think what he's saying is if this week, we're going to prepare so hard that if they get out there and beat us and so be it, we did everything in our power that we could this week.
Okay. I like it, Ben.
Yeah.
That's the way I took it. I could be wrong, but that's just the way I took it.
No, I like it. No, I like you. Hey, I'll be honest, Justin. You sold me on the quote. You just sold me on it because I'll be honest. The only part I just my initial take, and again, your view is the correct one. I'll just say I just looked at it and I was like, I know, but way Northwestern, but should be better than you at this point. But you're right. That was you looked at it better. I just on the surface, I was like, there ain't no way Northwestern should be better than you.
Totally get it. Yeah, I totally get it.
You're right.
100%.
Just got one more of what Matt Rule said. Two things can be true. You can play a really, really bad game and be mad about it, but still know that you're a good team. So, final question I'll ask before we kind of get into the keys to the victory and all that stuff. Do we still think that Nebraska at this point in the season is still a really good team?
Yes, they're a good team. Are they a really good team? I do not know.
Yeah,
We'll
I was
find
about
that
to
out
say
this week.
I'm willing to say good. I'm
Yep.
willing to say good, really good, not quite. I need to see how they rebound, you know.
We need to see a response this week.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And
I think
Fair enough.
I think that they're an 8-4 team. Just like,
Yeah.
are you going to do what's required to get to that point?
Right.
Because they can be a good team that makes bad decisions, and
Yeah.
they've
At a
made some pretty
crossroads.
poor.
I've heard this said earlier today. This team is at a crossroads.
Mhm.
What do they do? Which way do they turn?
And I agree with you, Scott. I still think this is an 8-1 team.
Yeah.
As pissed off as I am, but this is where Matt Rule earns his money, is
Yeah.
how the second half of the season plays out, because it cannot play out like it did last year. And this is where his money's earned. This is what we hired you for. Get it back on track.
Alrighty, keys to victory. We'll start with you, Justin. What's one of the things on offense and one thing on defense you'd like to see get this team over the top and get win number 6?
I'm going to continue to use what I've used the last few weeks, because I think this is the most important thing. Win on third down. Win on third down. If you win on third down more often than not, I mean, besides the turnover battle, we know that. But
Right.
like the more hidden stuff in there, if you win on third down more often than not, you're going to win the game. Maryland was an exception. Maryland kind of beat us on third down, but we ended up winning that game. But it took a lot of special plays to get there. But that's how a team like a Maryland comes in and competes with you. And that's how a team like a Michigan State comes and compete on you. You got to get off the field on third down, and you got to convert on third down. That starts by putting yourselves in third and shorts. So take what the defense is giving you. Take the underneath. Stop trying to get it all at once. Win third down.
And I assume you mean win on third down on defense as well.
Yeah, but that goes both sides.
Off
That's
the
both
field.
sides.
Yep.
Win on third down.
All right, Scott, what do you think on offense and defense are keys to victory for you?
Holgerson's got to call a better game on offense. He's kind of like what Justin said. He's got to take what the defense is giving him, call better routes, scheme up things better. Give. If Dylan doesn't have a lot of time to work in the pocket, that's arguable. I think that there's a lot of decisions that he makes as a quarterback that would at least give him a little bit more time. But that's neither here nor there. But if he's not getting a lot of time in the pocket, you need to get routes that develop a lot quicker. And then on defense, there just has to be, we can't have this vanilla fear safe, just putting 3 guys and then dropping everybody else back. You can't be doing that. You got to go for the throat. We know we've got a defense that can go for the throat and then execute. Kind of like what Charlie McBride has said, if you're going to make a mistake, at least make it at 100 miles an hour. So, we've had some tackling issues this year. We know this. There have been some bad angles. We know this. But so far, what has worked this year is that we're not afraid to do it at 100 miles an hour. So, can't necessarily fix that in a week, but we can at least go back to what was working. And you just gotta go. This defense has got to just play with the tenacity, and just be okay with the mistakes that come with it. So those are my keys.
Love it. You, Coach?
I'd say on defense, the biggest thing is we tackle better. I know it seems like it's just basic cliche thing, and I know it's very coach speak of me, but we have to do it. Like Rule said at the press conference, we can't just be diving at people. We can't just be arm tackling. We're in the Big Ten. We have to do it. So be physical, tackle better, tackle. I was willing to overlook some tackling stuff earlier just because it's like, okay, a lot of teams go through it earlier in the year. We're about to November now. It's time to nut up and tackle. On offense, my biggest key is I'd say let's feed our playmakers. That's something that I have hey, Emmett's hot. Let's feed him.
Dane Key.
Dane Key.
Dane Key the ball.
That is exactly what I was about to say. We cannot – 2 of the last 3 games, Dane Key has 0 catches. That cannot keep happening. That can't happen. We got to find ways to get Dane Key the ball. We got to keep feeding Emmett. Get our playmakers the ball. Dana Holgerson, despite anything that happened over the last week, I still believe in my heart you are one of the best offensive coordinators in the country. I still do believe that. as frustrated as I was last week, I do still believe that the University of Nebraska has one of the best offensive coordinators in the country.
I think he'll adjust. I
I think so too.
I think he just had a bad day like everybody else.
I do too. But I liked his tone in his press conference.
Yep.
The comments didn't. I looked at the 4 comments in there, but like I think Holgorsen was I think he's always very honest with himself and everybody.
Yep.
More so than a lot of other coaches.
100%. So those are my keys: is tackle better, and just get your playmakers the ball. And who I have in my mind is Emmett Johnson and Dane Key. Big on Dane Key. We got to get him the freaking ball. He can't have 0 catches again.
What about you, Dad?
I'm kind of with Justin in the sense that I've kind of always said the same thing, and it seems to be a thing that this team absolutely needs to do to win. And on defense, that's stop the run, and on offense, it is run the ball. And it doesn't have to just be Emmett Johnson. I know he's got the hot hand, but how many times did Ja'Cory Barney touch the ball?
Not enough.
These last couple of weeks, he's been like on a milk carton in a lot of ways. So he's dynamic with the ball in his hands, even from behind the line of scrimmage on some of those. Let's scheme up some jet sweeps and then fake that and then go ahead and give it to Emmett. And I think that opens up a little bit more up the middle too, because they're watching the eye candy going from behind them. So
crazy. That's what the air raid is. Spread the field wide and then run up the middle. And then when you run up the middle, spread the field wide, make them cover grass.
Yeah. Stop the run. Run the ball, stop the run. You should be able to do that because you don't have to worry about a running quarterback this week. You should have no problem stopping the run. Get 4 guys up on that line of scrimmage. Dare that son of a gun to throw the ball over your head, but stop the run. So those are mine. Absolutely, those are mine. So we have any bold predictions, any crazy things you look to see happen in this game? I'm going to call for a block punt. That'll be mine. Block punt. I don't think it's TD, but I think we block one, and that kind of sets us up for a score.
I got one. Safety. Calling a safety.
All right.
I don't think I have that factored into my score prediction, but just pretend that it is.
I'm going to go real bold here. We cover the spread.
Ooh. That's crazy. I don't know. That's pretty crazy, Justin.
That's
like next level insane right there, dude.
Yeah.
We haven't done that. The only 2 games that we've done that have been against Houston Christian and Akron.
Yeah, we got it. And so that's my bold prediction.
Crazy. I love it.
Moonbot says Barney finally gets his punt return for a tutty.
I was thinking about that one, but I went crazier.
He's been knocking on the door.
That's been his bold prediction every week.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Just keep on keeping on, Moonbot.
We gave up on the double turnover pretty quick.
Because
we got to force a turnover first.
That would be nice.
You got a punt return for a TD? Are you going with Moonbot, Scott? Or
no? I'm struggling to come up with something. I think that so far this season, Lindenmeyer has done some pretty good things. I'm going to say that he gets a touchdown, but it's not because the ball is thrown to him.
Okay.
I'll go with my real bold prediction. Dane Key gets a hat trick.
I love that. I would love that.
Let's see.
I know Justin would love that too.
I need it. I need to see it.
So a passing TD, rushing TD, and
no, just 3 touchdowns.
3 TDs, bro. He just
okay.
3 TDs.
I was like, oh dang, he's gonna throw a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and run a touchdown. That would be
you get
bananas.
a touchdown. You get a touchdown, and
bro. If we're throwing with our wide receivers, we're in trouble. We got to learn to throw with our quarterbacks first.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so mine is Lindenmeyer gets a touchdown, but it's not because he receives it. It's gonna be
You gonna run it?
I love it.
I'm just gonna leave
Lindenmeyer punt return touchdown coming in.
Lindenmeyer recovers a fumble at the goal line. It goes in the end zone, and he
what if
a
double turnover? Lindenmeyer scores. What if?
There you go.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Now Moonbot says. I almost said Heinrich Harber gets 2 touchdowns.
That would be
wow.
That would be okay with me too.
We are too predictable when it comes to calling plays for Harburg, though.
Before we get into score predictions, you know what's a name that's on the Northwestern roster that just blows my mind? Cam Porter. Cam Porter is still at Northwestern.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around since 2020.
Dang.
So he's like one of the last like bastions of the COVID.
It's like Tate Martell, bro. Tate Martell was like
He's
31.
been
Years in
around.
college or something like that. Yeah.
I was just like, Cam Porter, he's still here? What?
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's an old name. I've seen that before.
All right.
All right, yeah. Score predictions?
For predictions, unfortunately, I am Mr. Negative Nelly. I'm not sure this. I'm not sure this is an awfully good defense we're going against, and they're good at stopping the run and good at. They're just good. They're not going to beat themselves, and I'm hoping I'm predicting this just because we're going to completely do what Justin says they're going to do, and I'm going to be completely wrong, and I can be clowned for it mercilessly next week. So that would make me extremely happy. But 20-13, I think Northwestern wins it. Whoever wants to go ahead.
I've got us winning, but I'm pretty 50-50. Maybe it's just my, like, I don't know. I have a personality flaw of like abandonment fear. So like, I just feel like we can't have nice things. And so this will be the beginning of the end of everything that we know of Husker football right now. You know, we're going to lose every game. We're going to go 5-7. Matt Rule gets fired. It's just going to be a whole problem. And then we rehire like Scott Frost or something. I don't know. So it's like, I don't know. It's just my brain just like that's how I want to feel about this game. Like, can it just be a horrible game so that my expectations of not having nice things just is fulfilled, and then I can just accept that. But no, I hope Nebraska wins. I think, because we just have such a horrible record of covering the spread, I'm going to say we don't. And it's a close 1-point win, 21-20 Nebraska. And it's one that we just don't like at all. We're not happy about it.
Yeah, no, I like it. My score prediction here, and I'll even go specific. I'll say we see some more of the same, that kind of like we did against some Maryland and Michigan State, of some not so good looking second quarters and third quarters. I'll say we go down in start of the fourth quarter. We will be down, but we're going to go find a way to pull ahead. I think this has the potential to be an ugly game. Hopefully, like Ken said, hopefully, Justin, you're spot on here. But I do have the Huskers winning. You asked me this over the weekend. I would have not given that prediction, but I'm trying to be more level-headed now. I do think Nebraska should definitely be winning this game. Now, I don't want the coaches and players thinking that. We need to be going in saying, hey, we need to grind up. But I'd say still we should be in a position year 3 of Matt Rule. We need to be beating Northwesterns. And I believe this roster and coaching staff has all the ability in the world to find a way to beat Northwestern. So I'm going to predict them to do so. Like I said in our group text, kind of reluctantly, but I am going to pick them to win.
Yeah, for me, we have the benefit of not being on a short week on the road. So, and I don't think Northwestern is. I think Minnesota loves to get up to play us, kind of like the Minnesota guy brought on my show was talking about. So I know they play with a little extra chip on their shoulder. So I think Nebraska can kind of combat all of that this week. I know Northwestern is a very similar team. I just don't know if they have the same motivations as Minnesota does. That being said, you can't beat yourself still, but I think if we go out there and do the things that we should do and we're supposed to do, we can win this game by a couple scores. So that's my 34-17. And then my glass half empty is 28-24. Nebraska still wins, though.
I love it.
Very good.
All righty.
Yeah, Moonbot's score prediction is 38-14, so he's the most optimistic out of the bunch.
Hope you're right.
So I hope you're right, Moonbot.
That is optimistic, but then he did say, but might be my last win prediction of the season. So like,
that's if it's wrong. So let's hope he's right.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah.
I love Moonbot, but I was like, oh, Moonbot, don't do that to my heart.
Just curious. Does anybody know what Matt Rule's record at Nebraska is after he's won 5 games?
It's 1 and
10.
is it 9, 10?
1 and 10.
1 and 10.
I knew it was 1 and around there. Wild. That
Does
is
not change
horrible.
this year? God, I hope so. But that's part of what went into my rationale for a 20-13 loss.
yeah. That is a stat that makes my brain hurt. But we're in year 3. We're past it. I guess we're about to find out.
Yeah, this truly is. I can't.
To me,
help
this
it.
actually
Like,
could. This is my. I try. You guys know I try not to be hyperbolic, even though I do kind of get that way sometimes. I will say, this does feel like a kind of make or break. I'm not saying whether Rule would be like. I'm not saying like fired, but like I feel like just how a lot of us feel about Matt Rule in year 3. Like this is make or break, right?
That's not crazy to say. Our fans.
Like this
crash
is
out.
like.
oh yeah.
You got to
if
win
he-
this one, or this could
If
get
he
weird.
loses this game, the only way that he can redeem it is by winning out.
Yeah,
Like that's
it
the
could
only
get
way
really
that the fan base doesn't have him fixated directly on a hot seat by the end of season. Because
They
if we
lose this one. That press
they-
conference next week.
It's about to get
Yeah.
weird. boys. It's about to get really weird.
Twitter is going to
Shit
have
might
to
get
shut
canceled.
down. Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, I do have some Twitter timeline tweets I just want to throw up there that were kind of fun as the game was going in process. I grabbed some of these. Adam Kruger TV at Adam Kruger TV says, I mean, of course, when your star running backs comes off a career high and your offensive line finally starts to show some signs of cohesiveness, you throw it 3 straight times to start the game. So that was right after the first possession. Not to, 14 plays, 98 yards, and 8:43 off the clock. Mr. Kyle Byers from NBNR posted this. And of course, it's that pesky fade route that we've been chasing for 7 games now that cashed it in.
That was thrown open by a beautiful throw.
That was an absolutely perfect
I
throw.
tweeted after that like I couldn't even be mad at that drive. That was a perfect drive.
No.
That's that fade
Beautiful.
route that you hate so much, Dad. That's
I
great.
hate it, but it's because Dylan can't throw it.
It's
doesn't-
there. We just can't. We can't throw
only
it.
works for other teams.
How many times have we called that fade route from the headset, and how many times has Dylan audibled into it? That would be an interesting stat I would like to know.
I know it's at
How
least
many
once
times
a
did he
game.
audible
I've
out of a
seen it
winning
at
play
least
on
once a
Friday
game.
night? Anyway, Matt Rule decided telling Nebraska fans he won't be Penn State's head coach wasn't enough. He needed to show them.
That was a funny tweet. That was it. That was funny.
Yep. And then at Dirk Chatelaine, humiliating but not surprising. This Husker performance was hiding beneath the surface of the past month. I didn't think Minnesota was good enough to expose them. Turns out it didn't take a good opponent.
Ooh, that's a
That
deep
was pretty
salt in the wound.
but it makes sense. And Dirk's not one to pull punches. He has no problem trolling. Mike Schaefer at Mike J. Schaefer. Maybe someday someone at Nebraska will treat the Minnesota game the same way PJ Fleck seems to treat it from the other side, like it's a massive deal instead of being another game on the schedule. Or Nebraska can keep getting embarrassed. I'm sure he doesn't mind. So that was very poignant. Skurs News, who is all over the map on Twitter, especially during a game. He says, I'm trying to convince myself it's one game. It isn't who this team is or who Rule is, that this team can turn it around and finish strong. And yeah, that's how I felt at the end of the game. Sure.
Yeah.
At Black Shirts, at BLVCK Shirts on Twitter, he says, not much to say about that one. Got outplayed and outcoached. Positives, Emmett Johnson's 100 all-purpose yards. Kyle Cunanan's 2 for 2 field goals and 0 turnovers. Negatives, just about everything else. Still GBR forever and always. Hey, we did have the lead after the first
And
quarter.
Archie Wilson.
And Archie Wilson, yeah. Special teams was awesome. Really was. Return game needed some work, but it was pretty good overall. Dr. Zadiska, Dr. Rob Zadiska from at Doc Top Sports, probably my favorite follow on Twitter. Looking at sack totals this year after the 9 we gave up tonight, it got me thinking about how many we gave up in 94. I know it wasn't a lot, but couldn't remember the actual number, so I looked it up. 6. We gave up 6 sacks total in 13 games.
To be fair, we never passed.
Well, that was the year Tommy went down and was hurt, so that option offense and a lot of that went out the window, and they had Brooke Behringer. They did drop back a lot more.
But I would still
than
love
they
to
did.
see
Still.
how much we passed.
A little bit apples to oranges.
Yeah,
It's
little
little apples to
But
oranges,
still
but
6.
still.
6 is not a lot.
And 1995, they
sack
never
game.
allowed a sack in 1995 with a very young offensive line. So someone then responded to that tweet and said, is it the offensive line coach or talent? And Dr. Rob says, me answering that question is like the meme with the 2 red buttons.
That's funny.
Which he kind of alluded to that on his podcast that Sunday afternoon, was that he just wasn't, he says, I'm not seeing the development. Where's the development? These kids have a lot of stars next to their name and they're just not developing. So O-line gave up 3 sacks in the first 3 games, according to @Husker Army Pod, our buddies over at the Husker Army Podcast. That was a spirited one. Holy smokes. Listen to that one today.
Yeah.
In the first 3 games and 22 sacks in the last 4 for a grand total of 25 through 7 games. That's over 3.5 per game, or 5 per game over the last 4 games on average. That's just terrible after basically not allowing any in the Maryland game. So there it is. Yeah. Nebraska's been terrible after reaching their 5th regular season win in the first 3 years under Matt Rule. This is @Josh Tweederson. 2023, 5-3 start, 0-4 finish. 2024, a 5-1 start, a 1-5 finish. 2025, a 5-1 start, and an 0-1 so far in 2025. Also, all 3 losses after the 5th win were really bad in different ways. That's so true, and I hope that narrative changes come Saturday. Husker Football Fan Podcast. Just like that, Nebraska has turned into the college football's punching bag. We've been down for so long that it's impressive how much everyone loves to hate on us. How many years must we endure the whole country rubbing our noses in it until it's okay for us to be optimistic about our team? I agree. It's rough out there in the social media world when other teams love the fact that we lose. And this was good too, Adam Kruger TV. I thought this was an interesting comment. Matt Rule's program made a poor argument last night to improve the roster to $30-40 million level. It's one thing to have that type of a performance versus a $30 to $40 million Oregon or OSU roster, but you cannot tell me Minnesota's roster comes anywhere close to that. Yeah. Sure. Northwestern is 5-2. This is @Huskers BR. Runs for 190 yards per game and only allows 15 points per game, 11th in college football. If you aren't worried about Northwestern, you should be. The final 5 games, Penn State might be the easiest. Now there's a take. Now there's
Who
a
would have
take.
thought that?
Yeah.
That's
What a
crazy.
wild
I thought
turnaround.
that was interesting. That was worth tweeting. And then, of course, because we need some levity, 4 cows were killed in a 2-vehicle crash early Saturday near Grand Island. And Faux Pelini retweeted and said, well, they can't even reach the pedals. So there you go. I figured we needed that one to end the show.
I love that.
I love it.
So Faux Pelini is absolutely my second favorite follow behind Dr. Rob Zadiska. So make sure @Faux Pelini, you guys get him followed. I think that's it, boys. Are we good, or do we have any final salient thoughts going into Saturday that we'd like to?
I'm good. I need to go eat.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. How about where can folks find everybody out there on the interwebs?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter/X @ScottGenRedPod.
Follow me at the _H-Town Husker and Nebraska Voice, Nebraska Football at the Voice of College Football, if I can get my own channel right.
No, you can't. If you go to Twitter and go to @Coach Audi AUDE. I'm not saying the other one will probably be back soon, but that's where we're still at for the moment.
And you can follow our show, this podcast right here on Facebook, X, and YouTube @GenRedPod. Or if you prefer your podcast in audio form only, go to just search for Generation Red on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and subscribe there. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you leave us a comment and a 5-star review. It helps others find us. GenRedPod.com is our website, and you can email us at genredpod@gmail.com. Generation Red merch is available. Just scan the QR code at the top of the screen to check out our store. Or if you're listening to this podcast, just go to genredpod.com and click in the gray bar at the top of the page. Your opinions. We'd love to have your opinions. So if you haven't had a chance to comment in this live chat tonight, make sure you drop a comment down below if you watch this video later on demand. Also, leave a like. We'd really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, my name is Ken. That's Scott, Coach, and Justin. I love all three of those guys, and it's so much fun doing this podcast with you guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. As hard as it was to talk about that game, it's always good to talk about it with you guys. So for the four of us, to all of you, thanks for watching, thanks for listening and downloading this podcast. We're here. We're Generation Red, and we're here to chronicle Nebraska's eventual return to college football greatness, one podcast at a time, because there's no place like this place.
And Iowa's corn sucks.
In rule, we trust.
For now.
Yeah, for now. No, I'll still say it. We still trust him, but yeah,
we do. There's a little trepidation.
Yeah,
like,
we're still there, but I'm starting.
It's
like
the meme with the bleach.
That doesn't mean we don't care.
Yeah.
Oh man. Why can't we ever just get out of a show clean? There's always this extra
I know.
on top of it. It makes it perfect, right? It's a perfect cap on a perfect show. So thanks again, guys. Go Big Red. We'll see you next week.